The airplane manufacturing industry is a colossal global business, estimated to be worth over $100 billion. At the heart of this industry are two behemoths, Boeing and Airbus, two companies whose rivalry has shaped aviation history and transformed the way we travel. For decades, these two giants have dominated the skies, battling for market share, technological advancements, and influence in global aviation. The competition between Boeing and Airbus is not only about producing airplanes but about defining the future of flight, with each company constantly pushing the envelope to create faster, more efficient, and more sustainable aircraft. This rivalry is often described as a battle for the skies. But it also represents a fierce competition between two global economies, American and European, each trying to maintain and grow its influence in one of the most valuable industries in the world. Boeing, founded in 1916 in Seattle, Washington, has been a major player in the aerospace industry for over a century. It began as a small company making seaplanes, initially focusing on military aircraft during World War I. However, its vision expanded quickly as it moved into the civilian market. Boeing's first major commercial airplane, the Boeing 707, introduced in the late 1950s, revolutionized air travel by making long-haul flights more accessible to the general public. This was a turning point for the company, solidifying its position as a leader in commercial aviation. The 707's success opened the door for Boeing's next major aircraft, the 727, 737, and 747, all of which would go on to become icons in aviation history. The 747, in particular, became synonymous with the age of international air travel. Introduced in 1969, it was the world's first wide-body airplane, also known as the jumbo jet, and it fundamentally changed the way people thought about flying. Boeing's investment in the 747 was a gamble at the time, but it paid off handsomely. The aircraft's ability to carry hundreds of passengers across vast distances made air travel more affordable and accessible to people all over the world. By the time production of the 747 ended, Boeing had sold over 1,500 units, and the 747 was considered the gold standard for long-haul travel. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, a new competitor was emerging to challenge Boeing's dominance. Airbus, founded in 1970 as a European consortium, was established to break Boeing's monopoly on the commercial aircraft market. While Boeing was already established as the dominant player in the industry, Airbus sought to leverage European collaboration to develop a series of aircraft that could rival Boeing's offerings. Initially, the company struggled to gain traction, particularly in North America, where Boeing had a stronghold. But Airbus slowly began to build momentum with its first aircraft, the A300, which became the world's first twin-engined wide-body jet. The A300 was innovative, offering airlines lower operating costs, but it was the A320 that truly cemented Airbus's place in aviation history. The A320, introduced in 1988, was a game-changer. It was the first commercial jet to feature a fully digital fly-by-wire control system, replacing traditional manual controls with electronic ones. This was a bold move that set Airbus apart from Boeing, and it had a lasting impact on the design of commercial aircraft. The A320's design was highly efficient, and its fly-by-wire technology became a benchmark for all future airliners. Over the years, Airbus would expand its lineup, introducing the A330, A340, and eventually the A350. The A350, launched in 2015, is a direct competitor to Boeing's 787 Dreamliner, another revolutionary aircraft that would significantly impact the long-haul market. The rivalry between Boeing and Airbus has often been marked by fierce competition, with both companies constantly trying to outdo each other with new models and innovations. One of the most notable chapters in this rivalry is the battle between the Boeing 737 and the Airbus A320. These two aircraft are the backbone of the global commercial aviation market and have become the best-selling aircraft in history. The Boeing 737, introduced in 1967, has sold over 10,000 units, making it the most successful commercial airplane of all time. The A320, introduced in 1988, has also become a dominant force in the market, with over 9,000 units delivered to date. The competition between the two aircraft has driven both companies to continually improve their designs, making air travel safer, more efficient, and more affordable. As air travel has grown exponentially in the 21st century, so too has the rivalry between Boeing and Airbus. The demand for new aircraft has skyrocketed, driven by factors such as increasing global populations, rising middle-class incomes in emerging markets, and the growing need for more fuel-efficient airplanes. Both Boeing and Airbus have responded to these demands by developing new, cutting-edge technologies to make their aircraft more efficient and environmentally friendly. One such development has been in the wide-body aircraft sector, where Boeing and Airbus have been fiercely competing for dominance. Boeing's 787 Dreamliner and Airbus's A350 are two of the most significant aircraft to be introduced in the last decade. The 787 Dreamliner, which entered service in 2011, is known for its incredible fuel efficiency. Made primarily of composite materials, the 787 is much lighter than traditional aircraft, which reduces fuel consumption. This made the Dreamliner an immediate hit with airlines, who were seeking ways to cut costs and improve profitability. Boeing's investment in the Dreamliner paid off, and the aircraft has since become a favorite among airlines for long-haul routes. The 787 offers up to 20% better fuel efficiency than older models, making it a groundbreaking achievement in aviation technology. Similarly, the Airbus A350, introduced in 2015, has also gained widespread praise for its fuel efficiency. Like the 787, the A350 is made from composite materials that help to reduce weight and improve fuel efficiency. The A350 is equipped with the latest generation of engines, which reduce fuel consumption and carbon emissions. The A350 has been particularly successful among airlines operating long-haul flights, with its range and efficiency making it an ideal choice for intercontinental routes. The competition between the 787 and A350 has spurred both companies to innovate further, with both planes offering a level of performance and environmental sustainability that was previously unimaginable. But the rivalry between Boeing and Airbus goes beyond just producing better planes. The two companies also compete in terms of customer service, pricing, and strategic partnerships. As the two largest players in the commercial aviation market, both Boeing and Airbus have extensive networks of suppliers, contractors, and subsidiaries. These companies work together to produce the hundreds of components that make up an aircraft, from engines to landing gear to avionics. Boeing and Airbus also face challenges from rising geopolitical tensions, such as tariffs, trade restrictions, and government regulations. For example, in 2019, Boeing was hit with a significant blow when its 737 MAX aircraft was grounded worldwide following two fatal crashes. The crashes, caused by a design flaw in the plane's software, led to the deaths of 346 people and forced Boeing to halt deliveries and production of the aircraft. The MAX crisis cost Boeing billions of dollars in lost sales and compensation to affected airlines, and the company's reputation took a significant hit. During this period, Airbus capitalized on the situation, with its A320neo and A350 aircraft offering viable alternatives to the grounded 737 MAX. Airbus, too, has faced its share of challenges. One of the company's biggest hurdles was the development and production of its flagship A380, the world's largest passenger jet. While the A380 was initially seen as a major success, its massive size and operational costs have made it less attractive to airlines, particularly as fuel efficiency has become a more pressing concern. As a result, Airbus has decided to end production of the A380, despite its earlier promises of long-term success. This decision reflected the evolving nature of the aviation market, where smaller, more efficient aircraft like the A350 and 787 have become more in demand. While the A380 will remain a key part of global fleets for years to come, it's clear that the future of aviation lies in more fuel-efficient, environmentally friendly aircraft, the pursuit of sustainability in aviation is now a key area of focus for both Boeing and Airbus. As concerns over climate change grow, the aviation industry is under increasing pressure to reduce its carbon footprint. Both companies are working on developing new technologies to address this challenge. For example, Boeing has been exploring the use of sustainable aviation fuel, SAF, which can reduce greenhouse gas emissions by up to 80% compared to traditional jet fuel. SAF is made from renewable sources such as algae, agricultural waste, and even municipal solid waste. Boeing is also experimenting with hybrid electric and fully electric aircraft, technologies that could dramatically reduce fuel consumption and emissions in the coming decades. Airbus, meanwhile, is taking a bold approach to sustainability. The company has committed to developing the world's first zero-emission commercial aircraft by 2035. Through its ZROE program, Airbus is exploring hydrogen-powered planes, which would produce only water vapor as a byproduct. These groundbreaking efforts to develop a sustainable future for aviation could reshape the industry and help address one of the most pressing environmental challenges facing humanity. The commercial airplane market is not the only area where Boeing and Airbus compete. Both companies also have significant operations in the defense and space sectors. Boeing has been a major supplier of military aircraft, satellites, and space exploration technologies, with projects like the CST-100 Starliner spacecraft, which will transport astronauts to the International Space Station. Airbus has a similar presence in defense and space, particularly in Europe, providing military transport aircraft like the A400M and the Eurocopter Tiger military helicopter. Despite the challenges both companies have faced, the rivalry between Boeing and Airbus remains one of the most fascinating and consequential aspects of the aerospace industry. From the development of revolutionary aircraft like the 707 and A300 to the ongoing competition between the 737 and A320, Boeing and Airbus have continuously driven technological innovation and shaped the way we think about air travel. As the industry faces new challenges related to sustainability, geopolitics, and market demands, Boeing and Airbus will continue to innovate and compete to shape the future of aviation. Whether through cutting-edge designs, sustainability efforts, or new frontiers in space exploration, Boeing and Airbus will undoubtedly remain at the forefront of the $100 billion airplane manufacturing industry for years to come. The competition between Boeing and Airbus extends beyond just aircraft design and market share. It also includes extensive networks of production, logistics, and supplier partnerships that play a crucial role in their ability to deliver quality products on time and within budget. The complexity of manufacturing commercial aircraft is immense, involving thousands of parts sourced from all over the world. Both companies rely on a massive global supply chain, and any disruption in this chain, whether due to geopolitical factors, natural disasters, or supply shortages, can have a significant impact on their operations. Boeing's production system has long been admired for its scale and efficiency. The company's main production site in Everett, Washington, is one of the largest building complexes in the world, spanning over 98 acres. This facility is responsible for assembling some of Boeing's most iconic aircraft, such as the 747, 767, 777, and 787. It's a complex operation that involves collaboration between engineers, suppliers, and workers on the factory floor, with each aircraft requiring millions of individual parts that are delivered from across the globe. The process of putting together an airplane is a sophisticated dance of logistics, where everything must align perfectly to ensure that the assembly process runs smoothly. Boeing's ability to scale its production to meet demand while maintaining the quality of its planes is a major factor in its competitive advantage. However, the company's manufacturing process has not been without challenges. The 787 Dreamliner, while groundbreaking in many ways, became a poster child for the difficulties involved in modern aircraft manufacturing. Boeing initially relied heavily on a global network of suppliers to produce key components for the 787, and this reliance caused significant delays in production. The company faced issues with its supply chain, with suppliers failing to meet deadlines and quality standards. As a result, the 787 was delayed by several years. And Boeing was forced to ramp up production capacity at its Everett plant and other facilities in order to meet the growing demand for the aircraft. Despite these challenges, the 787 eventually became one of Boeing's most successful products, showing the company's resilience in overcoming production difficulties. Airbus also faces similar challenges when it comes to production. While its manufacturing processes differ from Boeing's in some key ways, Airbus is equally reliant on a complex web of suppliers and subcontractors to deliver the components necessary for building its aircraft. The A320 family, for example, has components sourced from dozens of countries, with parts manufactured in facilities across Europe, North America, and Asia. Airbus also maintains a strong presence in several regions, including the United States, where the company has established several factories to manufacture aircraft for North American customers. One of Airbus's most successful ventures has been its mobile assembly line in the United States, where the company assembles A320 aircraft at a factory in Mobile, Alabama. This allows Airbus to better serve American customers while minimizing the impact of trade tariffs and other geopolitical tensions. Despite the global nature of the aircraft manufacturing business, both Boeing and Airbus have faced increased scrutiny and criticism over their supply chains, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic caused widespread disruptions to production schedules, with factories temporarily closing, parts shortages, and logistics bottlenecks. As airlines grounded planes and put orders on hold, both companies had to grapple with the uncertainty of demand and the long-term effects of the global crisis on the aviation industry. The pandemic exposed the vulnerabilities of the global supply chain and underscored the need for companies like Boeing and Airbus to diversify their production capabilities and become more resilient to future disruptions. Looking to the future, both companies are adapting their strategies in response to the changing landscape of the aviation industry. While the pandemic temporarily slowed down production, both Boeing and Airbus are now shifting their focus to meet the growing demand for sustainable and fuel-efficient aircraft. The industry is experiencing a major transformation as it works to address the environmental concerns associated with aviation. In the coming decades, airlines and manufacturers will face increasing pressure to reduce their carbon emissions and limit the environmental impact of air travel. Airbus's ambitious goal of creating a zero-emission commercial aircraft by 2035 is one of the most ambitious projects in the history of the company. Through its ZEROe initiative, Airbus is exploring hydrogen-powered aircraft, which would represent a significant leap forward in reducing carbon emissions. Hydrogen fuel cells have the potential to power commercial aircraft without generating harmful pollutants, but the challenge lies in developing the necessary infrastructure to support the widespread adoption of hydrogen in aviation. Airbus is working with governments, energy companies, and other stakeholders to create a viable ecosystem for hydrogen-powered aircraft, including refueling stations at airports and research into hydrogen storage technologies. Boeing is also pursuing environmentally sustainable solutions. While the company has not yet committed to a specific timeline for developing hydrogen-powered aircraft, it is exploring a range of technologies to improve the fuel efficiency of its planes. This includes advances in engine technology, materials science, and alternative fuels. One of Boeing's key initiatives is to invest in sustainable aviation fuels, SAF, which are derived from renewable sources such as plant-based oils, algae, and waste materials. Boeing has been a strong advocate for SAF, and it has partnered with airlines and fuel producers to scale up the production of SAF and make it a viable alternative to traditional jet fuel. At the same time, the pressure to reduce carbon emissions is leading both Boeing and Airbus to rethink the design of their aircraft. One of the most significant developments in recent years has been the move towards more efficient engines and lightweight materials. Both companies are using composite materials in their latest aircraft models, which not only reduce the overall weight of the plane but also improve fuel efficiency. The use of composites in the Boeing 787 and Airbus A350 has resulted in major improvements in the environmental footprint of these aircraft, enabling airlines to reduce fuel consumption and operating costs. Another key area of innovation is the development of electric and hybrid electric aircraft. Both Boeing and Airbus have announced plans to explore electric propulsion systems for smaller aircraft, particularly for short regional routes. These electric planes would have a much smaller environmental footprint compared to traditional jet aircraft, and they could revolutionize air travel for domestic and regional flights. However, there are still significant hurdles to overcome in terms of battery technology, range limitations, and regulatory approval. Nonetheless, the potential of electric and hybrid electric aviation is an exciting prospect for the future of the industry, beyond technology. Both Boeing and Airbus are working to ensure that their operations are more sustainable as a whole. This includes efforts to reduce waste, conserve energy, and improve the efficiency of their manufacturing processes. Boeing, for instance, has made strides in minimizing the environmental impact of its production facilities, with several of its plants now operating on renewable energy. Airbus has similarly committed to reducing its carbon footprint, with a goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2035. As Boeing and Airbus continue to lead the way in aircraft manufacturing, their rivalry will remain a defining feature of the industry. With the global aviation market expected to grow significantly in the coming decades, both companies are in a race to capture market share, develop new technologies, and stay ahead of each other. The $100 billion airplane manufacturing business will continue to evolve, shaped by the competition between Boeing and Airbus, as well as by new players in the market and emerging technologies. Ultimately, the future of the industry will depend on how these two giants adapt to the changing needs of airlines and passengers while navigating the complex challenges of sustainability, innovation, and global competition.